So what is up, everybody? It is Rodak with Rodak Survival, and I am here to break down the 2022 St. Louis Triple Crown Supercross race. To be completely honest with you guys, I was not that much into the racing last night. I was into everything else as far as the riders and everything, but as far as the track goes, I really wasn't a fan of the track. I thought it was super amateurish, if I should say that. Actually, I don't know if amateur is the right word because I don't think an amateur can go out there and ride it, but I figured for those guys and what level they are on, it seemed like it was just really one-lined and there was really not a lot of places to make up time unless you're Jet Lawrence. But when you're in the, how I see it is when you're in the 250 class, there's those whoops and everything, they really separate everybody. And so like the whoop sections and little things here and there that really separates them because they are a lot younger. But once you get to those 450 guys, a lot of them are really kind of running the same kind of pace, the same kind of speed. So it just made the races boring for me last night. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. It would just seem like it was pretty boring racing, at least for the 450 class. But with that being said, before we jump in here, guys, if you like the video, go ahead and smash the like button. And if you could, please consider subscribing. So let's talk about these 250 races first. In race one, you had RJ Hampshire coming out with the whole shot. You had Pierce Brown getting into a little bit of a tangle up early on in the race during the first lap. It would rip out some wires on the inside of his bike, and he was unable to finish the race. So real bummer for Pierce Brown there. Yeah, Jet Lawrence, he did not get a good start. He came out probably, I think, 9th or so after the first lap. He slowly started to make his charge and started to make a comeback. And literally, no joke, Hampshire was out there running out front, and I literally started texting my dad and said, how long do you think it is until RJ lays it over? And then literally a minute later, he ends up flying off the track, landing on a tough block, might have got cross-red or something, and completely ended up eating it. He loses the lead. Oldenburg goes in the lead. Jet Lawrence would end up passing Oldenburg like a lap later. And then before the end of the race, RJ Hampshire was able to come back and pass Oldenburg and come through in second. So in that first race, you had Jet Lawrence first, RJ Hampshire second, and Mitchell Oldenburg in third. So as race two gets underway, it is RJ Hampshire again with just absolutely killing it on the starts tonight. You had Pierce Brown going out again. His bike looks like in the time allotted between the first race and the second race, they just didn't have maybe time to fix that bike, or they didn't fix it properly, and his bike just kind of quit on him again, like literally a half a lap through the first lap. So Pierce leaves. He's super bummed, super frustrated. I can completely understand why he would be pissed off in that situation. But then about 5 seconds later, they end up red flagging the race. So let's all hope and pray that Kyle Peters is good. He was put on the backboard and was put on a stretcher. He did give the thumbs up, but they did have to red flag the race for him, so let's just all hope that he's doing good. But with it being on the first or second lap, they ended up doing a full restart. So in the event of a red flag, if you guys don't know Supercross, if they have not completed more than 3 laps in the race, they do a complete restart. So they go back to the gate and they have to do it all over again. So before the second gate drop after the restart, Pierce Brown rides his bike back to the starting gate. The AMA tells him no. It's a no-go because he had left the actual tunnel of the stadium, so you can't come back in once that's done, but he would be able to race race 3. So on the second restart, Hampshire would again hole shot, and Jet Lawrence would get a better start, and he would end up passing Hampshire. But to be completely honest with you, I was a little surprised. Hampshire did keep him honest. It kept him about that 2-second range, and on those last 2 laps, he really put in a charge, and he was only like a bike length away going into that last corner. He did end up falling because he was just going for it, so I gotta give kudos to Hampshire for just like absolutely sending it. Hampshire would come through in second, Jet Lawrence in first, and I believe Mitchell Oldenburg again came through in third in that moto. So going into race 3, you had Jet Lawrence, who was on a 1-1 for the night. You have RJ Hampshire, who's on a 2-2, so they are both there and are able to win the championship. I believe RJ would need what? He would need Jet to get third, and he would need to win the race. So they come out for the third race. RJ Hampshire is going to hole shot again. Jet Lawrence got another bad start. Back there mid-pack, stuck in all the mayhem and everything going on. It seems like the first laps of those 250 races until they got spread out were just absolutely chaotic. So on that first lap, going through the whoop section, I believe it was Jace Owen. He got a little bit sideways, Lawrence ran into the back of him, ended up going down. Lawrence being put all the way back to basically dead last on the first lap. And like I said, with the track being as basic as it is for these guys, it was hard for Jet to make up time. He made up time till about the 12th place mark, and then from 12th to 5th, it really took him like the rest of the race. He wasn't able to just click off guys like he was in weeks past because, like I said, for these guys, I think the track was a little bit basic in one line. But Hampshire stayed out there with a lead. Jet Lawrence was able to come back to 5th, but that was not enough to get the overall win for the night. So you had RJ coming away with a 2-2-1. which landed him his first ever win in Monster Energy Supercross, which is absolutely crazy to think about. I did not know that. And it's just crazy to think that RJ has been, what was he, with Geico, Honda? He's always been a highly sponsored rider. And to hear that this was his first win, it was absolutely, you know, it was crazy to think about, but I was super pumped for him. He does deserve it. He's gone through a lot. He's had a lot of injuries, but it was nice to see him get his first win last night. And then you had Jet Lawrence. He came in second overall with that 115, but it still extended his points lead because RJ was so far back from those previous crashes earlier this season and McAdoo not racing tonight. So Jet Lawrence, all he did was just extend his points lead, even though he got a second overall on the night, which I think is good for him. He extended the points lead. He didn't crash out. He didn't ride wild. I think the championship is his for the taking, and I don't see really anybody stopping him other than Jet Lawrence himself. So coming through with your 250 podium, you had RJ Hampshire in first, Jet Lawrence in second, and Mitchell Oldenburg. Another great ride from him tonight. So it was nice to see Oldenburg, first time in 3 years being on the podium, coming through in third. And let's go ahead and get into these 450 races. So in race one, you had Chase Sexton absolutely shooting out of the gate like a rocket and just pulling the whole shot by like a whole bike length or two. Tomac was back there running in fourth. You had Marvin Muscan in second, and Jason Anderson, I believe he was fifth or sixth. And to be completely honest with you guys, that's why I said the race wasn't that exciting last night. Once that first through fourth was established, you had Chase in first, Marvin in second, Malcolm in third, and Eli in fourth. They really just kind of stayed the same length from each other. Like they were able to gain just a little bit if one rider made a mistake, but no passes were being made. They kind of stayed the same distance, and it was really just not fun to see everybody just hitting one line over and over again. So that was the whole race. That top four literally stayed exactly the same the whole race. The only other incident that happened was Jason Anderson did slide out going into a corner, and prayers up for Dean Wilson. He took a hard hit hitting that finish line stanchion, I guess whatever you want to call it, going through the whoop section, lost control and just slammed into that thing. So let's hope that Dino's all good. He is one of the good guys of the sport. He's always positive, so let's all hope Dean is okay. But as far as race one goes, Chase got the whole shot, led every lap. Everybody else kind of stayed within 2 seconds of each other. So it was really just not an exciting first race. Race number two, to our surprise, we had Marvin Muscan out there getting the whole shot. Early on in the race, you had Malcolm Stewart going down. It really looked bad at first. As someone who's had 2 knee surgeries, it didn't look good that his knee got twisted the way it did. I thought maybe the worst. It could be an MCL, ACL, something of that nature, but luckily, he was able to get back on his bike after about 4 or 5 laps of the guys going around, and he rode a few laps and then ended up pulling off, but he would finish the night in the race 3. In this race, though, you had Anderson in second, you had Sexton in third, and you had Eli in fourth. Now, Anderson and Sexton, they kept Marvin honest within about that 2 to 5 second range, but I don't know if something was off with Eli. It was just an off night. Maybe he wasn't gelling with the bike, I don't know, but he ended up finishing, I believe it's like 17 seconds behind in that race. So Eli maybe just understanding that he doesn't need to go balls to the wall. The championship is kind of in the bag unless he just completely wads himself in one of these rounds. But yeah, Eli looked like he just wasn't feeling it in that second moto. Yamaha wasn't going to say much, do you expect them to say anything if he's not gelling with the bike? So yeah, Eli coming through in fourth, and that was pretty much your race. It's just Marvin got out front, Anderson was in second, Sexton was in third, Eli was in fourth, and they just stayed there. That was really all there was. Wasn't really any exciting racing going on anywhere other than that. And so here's where I speculated that maybe Eli wasn't gelling with the bike tonight, because race 3, looks like they could have potentially made some changes, because Eli rocketed off that start, got the whole shot, and led every single lap of that race. But again, to my surprise, a very strong ride by Marvin. He kept Eli honest that whole race. I don't think it ever got over 2.5 seconds in that third race. And then towards like the last 2 minutes or so, Marvin really did make a push, and he closed it in within a second, and Eli was able to hold him off, and Marvin got held up by a lapper and ended up finishing the race like 3 seconds behind. But super good ride on Marvin. He comes through once a year and just shocks us all and says like, hey, I still got it. I'll win one of these races one time a year. And it's just right on that time. It's always usually towards the end of the season when Marvin just gets his one win. But yeah, like I said, there was really nothing exciting really happening in the 450 classes. There was no block passes. There was no back and forth racing. It was really based on where you started on the whole shot. There might be 1 or 2 passes, but other than that, those guys just ran exactly where they came out on the whole shot. So at the end of the night, you had Marvin Muscan coming away with your overall win for the night. His first one of 2022. Will he get another one this season? I don't know. The way Marvin's been riding, he did ride really smooth last night. You had Chase Sexton coming in second overall, and then you had Eli Tomac coming in at third overall. And just to give some title contention, you had Jason Anderson. He had an average night. He went 6.25 for fourth overall. Wasn't his best night showing. I really feel like he's been a shell of himself since he didn't finish that race in Detroit. And it's really sad to see. I don't know if maybe it's something he's not gelling with on the bike. Maybe he doesn't feel comfortable. Maybe it was that hit he took to his head. Maybe it's a motivating thing. I don't know. I believe that he wants to do the best that he can. I truly do believe that. So it's just a bummer to see that Jason's not able to run up there with those guys over the past few weeks. But again, one more time for your 450 podium, you had Marvin Musquin with the overall win, Chase Sexton second, and Eli Tomac in third. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Like I said, not too many exciting things happening last night, especially in the 450 class, but it is Supercross. We love to see it. It was nice to have Supercross after a week break. But until next Saturday, guys, I hope you guys all have a great week. Everybody out there stay safe, and I will see you guys in the next race recap video. Peace.